What's up, pod pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you're listening to Podcasting Business School, the show where I teach podcasters how to love their show like a hobby and build it like a business. And today we've got a very special podcast audit session with my new pod pal, Christina from the Faith Breathed Hope podcast. Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Adam.
All right, so let's set a goal. I always love starting these audits with a little bit of a goal to work towards, and hopefully we can build momentum towards that as we discuss our game plan here today. But like 6 months from now, we're sitting down having a conversation just like this one. You're experiencing great momentum. The last 6 months have gone extremely well for you, for your show, for your business. Can you paint that picture a little bit for me?
Yes. So I would obviously like to increase my downloads and audience engagement. I think I've heard a lot of your people talk about this. And I actually want to monetize my show. I've been podcasting. Now I'm in my 4th season and didn't go into it thinking that I was going to monetize, but I'd like to do that now.
Cool. All right. So those are definitely 3 wheelhouse areas that we love to cover on these audits. So yeah, we should be able to come up with some solid strategies for you. Now, what would you say when we look at growth, engagement, monetization? What are some major roadblocks that we're dealing with as far as things that you feel like are keeping you from getting where you want to be?
Well, time is a big one. I'm trying to figure out how to time block and fit everything in. I'm a homeschool mom of 3, and I also teach at our dance studio. So just trying to make sure that I have everything going.
Yeah. So you got plenty on your plate there, for sure. Okay. So with your services, you said you want to monetize. Are you looking to bring on clients, or like what does that look like?
Well, I have millions of ideas. So the other big thing that I have is stopping all the ideas to implement the one. But I have written a couple of books, courses, and planning a membership, all those kind of things.
Okay. And then last question before I try to idea dump back in your direction here. Who's your ideal listener that you would love to be, obsessing over your show, binge listening, and then eventually become one of your best clients? Describe a few traits of those people.
So the ideal listener is probably right now a mom, because I'm in the thick of that right now, but it's a Christian woman who, just wants to renew hope and rediscover her purpose, knowing that God is good, God is there, and that she wants to be able to tell her story and learn from others, and just know that, she has purpose in this world.
Okay. This is very helpful. All right. So let's look at the growth, low-hanging fruit. As always, I always look at like the SEO stuff, like what can we be doing with words and keywords and things like that, because that organic, natural growth is so awesome for busy people like yourself. Like you have limited time for marketing and social media, advertising, and all that stuff. So we have to leverage the easy organic growth stuff. When somebody searches certain words, they just find your show over and over and over again. And I'll inspire you with an example from your niche. So about a year ago, I had a woman join one of my boot camps, and we really dialed in with SEO and her podcast art. And she, I don't remember what the name of her show was. It's that like unremarkable, I guess. Like I don't remember what it was, but we simplified it, and she wanted to target Christian women. So we put the term Christian women in the title of her show, and then we changed her art so that was very prominent. Like it's very obvious who this was for. And she went from getting less than 40 downloads per episode to a year later over 108,000 downloads in that year.
Wow.
And that's all that we changed. SEO and the art. Same content. Now she's able to connect her awesome message to the right people, and they're able to easily find. Same deal. Very busy. Didn't have a whole lot of time for social media marketing, things like that. So the religion niche is the largest podcasting segment out there, closely followed by comedy. So comedy and religion kind of go back and forth of like the most downloads and things like that. So you're in a great space. Okay. I would highly recommend adding some searchability to your title, whether it's an extension to the title. The word faith is
Mhm.
good. I feel like Christian women or something like if you're like the Christian mom, like the word reboot was coming up in my mind as a descriptive term. Like it seemed like you wanted to help these women kind of hit the reset button and recharge their batteries and head off in a more positive direction, just kind of like high
Mhm.
arching concept. So like the Christian mom reboot or rebooting the system of Christian moms or something like that, like that type of terminology, but Christian women, Christian moms. I
Okay.
think if you could sneak that in there anywhere, whether it's a title, refresh, extension, even like Faith Breathes Hope, a podcast for Christian moms looking for motivation or personal growth or something like that. Just adding that terminology, I think it will help tremendously with those Christian moms finding you, because there's a lot of faith and religious based podcasts. So if you can really stand out and be like, this is my niche, these are the people I really want to help, I am one of these people, I am in the trenches, I am a people's champion representative of somebody doing this. I think you could do pretty well with it. So any thoughts on that idea so far?
Yeah. So actually, it was interview based mostly up until, I don't know. I have a few sprinkled solos in and out of all the different episodes, but I do have men that I interview. And so I say Christian women just because I think that that's mainly what would listen and be more attracted to me as a Christian woman. But I had thought about the subtitle Seeking God in Hope, Strength, and Purpose. But if I put Christian or Christian women in front of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Christian women seeking. Yeah. Yes. That fits really nicely. So yeah, adding that in there, even just Christians seeking X, Y, yeah, so that would definitely work. And with the male female thing, I encourage, and this isn't a decision you have to make right now, but I encourage podcasters to lean into that, because there are just millions of men and women out there. like there's a giant pool of those people where you don't have to feel like, oh, but I'm missing out on all the men or whatever. Like honestly, like with me, most of my clients, I would say 80% of my paying clients are females. And if I was a female, I would be like podcasting business school for female entrepreneurs. But it's kind of honestly, I feel weird about it. And I would like me as a male doing that. Like it feels like this is the typical bro marketing. Like, what's up with this guy? Like, I feel like it's going to create questions that I don't want to stir up at the beginning of a relationship. So is he just looking for dates or something? Like, I don't want to put that weirdness out into the world.
Okay.
But if you are a female and you want to market to females, I would strongly consider leaning into that if it makes sense. If you start putting offers out there, it's like, wow. I mean, you just have to think about, as a Christian woman, a very busy mom, an overwhelmed mom, would it be nice to have a safe space just for people just like you that are dealing with those overwhelmed mom things that, frankly, guys don't understand. Um, so
Okay.
something something to consider, niching down and just kind of creating that hub for just your exactly right fit people. So kind of
Okay.
put a pin in that idea, and if it makes sense, you can use that later on down the road as you create offers. So
Okay.
okay, so that's a low hanging fruit thing. I think when you look at your like host description and your episode titles, really look at the different religious terms that you want to add in there that are searchable. So
Okay.
faith-based, Christian men, Christian women. I'd have the word the Bible in there. Like all these are search terms that people like. What are people that are your ideal listeners putting into Apple Podcasts, into Spotify? And if you get a hold of the people that listen to your show, ask them. That's going to be very helpful.
Okay.
So let's put those in titles for episodes in the host description and really just stack them up in there. That way we have this nice organic growth machine. I mean, I don't know how many downloads per episode you're getting now, but my friend, I mean, it was like a more than 10x per episode, just explosion,
Okay.
just from changing some SEO
Okay.
stuff. So yeah. So you feel like that's a good start so far? We're getting a foothold on some momentum.
Yeah, I do. I do. And it's a little bit more complicated, I think, because I sort of rebranded. I started off not looking to do anything but actually help people heal, which ended up being a healing place for me. It was for loss. And I decided that grief was too heavy.
Yeah.
So I wanted to focus more on the hope that comes because we all go through things. And so trying to figure out how to brand that so that people understand that they go through things and they can still move forward in all the situations.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's where I think leaning into a really tight niche will be beneficial, because the
okay.
more you can like sit in that and go, all right, I've either been through this or I'm currently going through this. Here's what I'm feeling. Here's what I felt. Here are the pain points. Here are all the things that it's kind of like, let's say you've gone through this transformation, this process that you want to speak to people that are kind of currently going through it. And you go, all right, what advice would I give myself to the version of me that existed 3 years ago or 5 years ago or whatever? What did I
Yeah.
need to hear then? What did I need to solve then? What would have been super helpful for me to just to understand at that point? That would have hit the fast forward button on this whole thing. And I feel like that's how you brand this. That's like you speak to you 3 to 5 years ago, or however long, you've been through your own journey, or if you've worked with a
Okay.
lot of clients or something like that, they've been through this journey. Speak to that former version of yourself or for them, and let that kind of lead your ideas for the branding, who you're speaking to, how you create offers, the content, all that stuff. Because like you said, it's really hard to just be in the hope business. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a very general. It's a very. I mean, it's needed. It's positive, but it's hard to put a business stamp on that, or even just
Right.
like a process of that. But if you are like, I help X person, I help X to do Y so that they can Z. Basically, that's a formula that I like. I help X, so Christian women, to do Y, which is reboot their, I mean, I'm just like giving
Yeah.
examples out there, like reboot their self-esteem so that they can move forward with a new relationships in life, or help them gain confidence after divorce, or gain confidence after uh, loss of a loved one, so that they can get back out and move forward. Like, so I help X to do Y so that they can Z. I just want you searching for those three lanes and be like, what's my X, my Y, and my Z? And as you kick ideas around, just kind of think in that format, have fun with it. Like, there's no deadline for you to create this. Like, we want to create it right. And so that it feels good for you and feels good for the people that you're helping out. I just say use that as a filter and go like, who are these people? How am I going to help them? What am I going to, push them through as far as a transformation? And just keep your eyes open for that. And I think it'll reveal itself. Like that's definitely happened with my business, because at first it was just like podcast about podcasting, and I love podcasting, and I'm kind of going through it. But then I was like, wow, I'm really, really good at helping people connect their listeners to a right fit offer so they can actually help them. And that was kind of the missing link for most of the people that are paying me to help them out. But it took me 3 to 5 years to figure that out. Hopefully for you, and that's a big part of why I do what I do on my show, is helping everybody hit the fast forward button on that. So kind of look at what's your version of a specific pain point, or a small group of specific pain points that you are very passionate about solving. And these can be different offers. So maybe it's moving forward through grief, loss of a loved one. Maybe it's ramping up out of depression. Maybe it's surviving midlife, whatever. And obviously,
Mhm.
put a more positive spin on things. But we have to have the pain points. There has to be some sort of pain there.
Right.
Because people that are just rocking aren't like, I really need to ramp up my hope around here. Like, they've already kind of got that vibe going on. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Yeah.
And I've been toying with this thing about helping people get fit, body, mind, and spirit. So it kind of touches on all those areas. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's too much, too broad, or not.
No, I think that process is perfect, but we have to replace the word people with a very specific group of people.
Okay.
That's the key. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So it's
Women.
not I help people, I help humans. We have to go from like human beings to male, female human beings to female Christian human
Okay.
beings to female Christian stay-at-home mom, or like what, like
Okay.
how many levels of just specificity can we put in there?
Okay.
And I'm telling you, the more you do that, oh my goodness, like the right people just show up.
Okay.
And ever since I've really been speaking on social media and email and on my show to service providers, online coaches, consultants, people that want to use a podcast and leverage that to drive and or create a business to create lifestyle freedom. Since I've been using that language, all the right people are showing up into my world ready to hire me for stuff. And it's not, it's just nice. It's just very efficient and effective. And it is scary because you do feel like you're taking like the butter knife and chopping off a big lump of people that could potentially be hiring you. But what I found is like when you have the courage to do that, the exact right fit people show up in droves. And it's just,
Okay.
like, honestly, it's just kind of weird to me how effective that strategy is. It still kind of blows my mind. I'm like, wow, all these right people are just showing up. And this is the only strategy I can really put my finger on and be like, this was a huge difference. And it's just because I think it's relatability and people are like, this is for me. He's using terms that I use to describe myself.
Okay.
Therefore, it's like creating a course. I could create a course called online marketing, how to be an online marketer, or I could create a course that is online marketing success tips for new podcasters. That's way different. And people are like, oh, this is for me. Or how to do Facebook ads for podcasters, or how to launch a membership offer for podcasters. Like that just puts me in that segment where no one else is creating that specific of a course or an offer for my audience. So yeah, I really, and just like sub segments of Christian women or male women or just Christians in general, it could be stay-at-home parents, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs. Like I would look in those categories.
Okay.
And work from home parents.
Okay.
I'm discovering that somebody reach out and I was like, I'm a stay-at-home dad. And then they're like, you're really not a stay-at-home dad because you work from home. I'm like, you should describe yourself as a work from home dad. I'm like, you know what? That makes more sense because I do. I work 3 days a week, but I put in work. So I've been using that terminology and people are like, hey, I'm a work from home parent too. I'm like, hey, maybe this is the new podcast. I don't know. So I think using the terms, the overarching goal of that, that soapbox I was just standing on is just really try to figure out the words that your ideal listener/clients use to describe themselves. And let's use that along with the pain points to create awesome offers and awesome content that just pulls them into your world. Like, oh my gosh, Christina just speaks to me. And when you get listener feedback and they're like, you're in my head, that's the best. That means, okay, I'm nailing it. I get those DMs on Instagram. People are like, this is exactly what I needed to hear right now. Like, yes. Awesome. I am in your head. I live in there rent free. So that's what we're looking for. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I'm writing notes right now.
Okay. So the other thing is you got like, let's look at time effectiveness and efficiency because you got a lot going on. You are working from home. You are a work from home mom. You are a homeschool mom. You have other entrepreneurial ventures going on. Like for you, we have to be time effective and efficient. So when I look at offer wise, this is where you can get lost in the weeds big time. So I'd like to just provide you a few starting ideas to look at as kind of like a check down, like start here first, then kind of evolve to this and then this. So a mistake that I will see a lot of people in your position make is they'll jump right on like an online course. And like, I'm going to create an online course because it's evergreen. I can sell it. And I don't have to like actively be involved, but it's hard for that to be a first offer.
Okay.
You may struggle for people to buy that. A simple tweak you can make to that situation is do what I call hybrid coaching. So you have an online course, but you have some Christina time built in there as well, where they get 3 30-minute sessions with you, or, they've got some you built in there.
Okay.
And that will sell better because, I mean, imagine one of your favorite podcasts and they put an offer out there and you actually get to work with them directly, you're more fired up about that than getting digital at them or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
it's actually, because that way, like when people work with me one-on-one, like you think I'm an idea factory now. When I've got the fire under my feet, somebody actually paid me. I'm like, oh my God, I got to come up with the best stuff now. Like I feel the heat. So like that, I can go off and be very specific to your situation. And, so we produce better results. And so it's better for them, better for you. You can charge more because they're getting more value. Maybe you've got like a 20 video course plus 4 sessions with you. You can set up your schedule so that it works. Like I only do coaching on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Like that's just how it is. And no complaints. Like people figure it out. And like you can set your coaching schedule. But these need to be higher ticket offers. Like these, like in your space, if you can really, the more you can niche it down, the more I feel like you'll be able to charge. So I would challenge you to create $1,000 plus offer here. And like this isn't a $50 thing. Like this, do not do that to yourself. And the challenge is if like $1,000 really makes you sweat, you've got to add value to the point where you feel like, all right, they're getting their money's worth. So you can always add more videos to a course. You could add more time with you, longer sessions, Voxer access. The Voxer app is like a walkie-talkie app. I don't know if you ever used that before, but that's a great add-on. Like, okay, this is a 3-week coaching program, but I'm going to add on 3 months of unlimited Voxer access where you can ping me on Voxer for the 3 months after that with any follow-up questions that you have or issues or whatever. And they can just do open Q&A. So now we're getting like a robust offer. Imagine a 20 video course, 4 30-minute sessions with you. And then we got Voxer access. That's just like a no-brainer because in your space of building momentum, leveling up hope, something like that, continued Voxer access and support, or even like graduate them into a cohort of group coaching, whether it's like 10 people or something like that, community, continued support, that's going to go over big in a space that you're in. So I would look at something like that as the initial offer because you're going to get paid what you're worth. I don't want you messing around with these sub $100 offers where you're like, all right, like it's fun to make sales and stuff like that, but making a couple $100 a month, you got to go through a lot of no's before you find yeses with that. And I'd rather you be doing that for $1,000 a pop instead of $50 a pop or something like that. And it's very doable. I know it can make people nervous. I can tell when I told you the $1,000 number, you're like, oof. At least maybe I should have said 10K and then 1,000 wouldn't have sounded so bad. Okay, I'll give you 1,000. But I'll challenge you and anybody else out there listening. Like, what is your $1,000 offer that you could create? And again, imagine yourself 5 years ago and go, what would you have paid $1,000 for to solve back then? And what would you have need? How would that have need to be delivered? What kind of package would you have want that delivered in to you 5 years ago? And I think you'll be able to convince yourself that you can do this. So I'll shut up. Questions, thoughts, concerns on what I just said.
Well, I am a certified grief coach. I was actually trying to get away from that, though. It felt more of a ministry, and I kind of had, I guess, mindset struggles with charging for that. So actually, I do have a couple of questions, though, for things that I've listened to on your podcast. Like today, I was listening to one about a workshop, about creating that 5-day workshop and being able to bring people into your email list versus being able to have a sales funnel, that kind of thing. And, I could do the email list because I obviously need to build that. But, as far as sales offers, I had been looking at creating a membership, but I'm listening to you. And I've also listened to some of your shows where I'm thinking maybe that's not the best thing coming right out of the gate. But I'm very creative, and I'm kind of like what you said. I have a million ideas. It's just honing those in. Like the idea factory, I think you said. Honing those in and trying to figure out which is the one to focus on now before I go down the rabbit hole and get 5,000 more ideas. So,
Yeah. Well, I think a membership is definitely something in the mix, but I would like to see you develop that after some sort of quick consultation or one-on-one or hybrid coaching offer, because what you'll do is then you'll have people going, all right, I've gotten such great results. I'm ready to keep going. And you can kind of graduate them into a membership. And that's a great way to populate it up front. If you have a smaller audience, haven't been email list building yet, or don't have a great social media presence or whatever, like that's an easier way. Because membership, we need volume, especially if you're going to be charging less than $50 a month for this membership. We need people in there. Else, like the first membership I launched for my health podcast was a disaster. I was charging $7 a month. I had 2 people in there, and I was going for months with 2 people, $14 a month. I was creating videos. I bought all this lighting stuff, camera stuff. I mean, it was a disaster and a huge waste of time. So what I learned was, let's start with coaching, kind of let your first few clients know, hey, I'm setting up a membership off the back edge of this. It's going to start in 3 months. That way you have 5, 10, 15 people that graduate your one-on-one coaching. You get them as your foundational members. You give them a little deal, and then you can start advertising a membership once you already have, 10 or 15 people in there. That way you got some residual income coming in, some recurring income, I should say. And that way you don't want a new person to sign up and be like, oh, wow, 4 people in here. Where's the rest of the membership? So that process usually tends to work. And honestly, if you don't want to go the whole hybrid course, maybe I got a little advanced with my advice there. You could always do like a 2-week quick consultation type package where you just look at identifying one problem. And with you, like, you've got that background with that grief certification and all that. And I would use that, but I would stamp a momentum label over that. Like, the purpose is reversing, basically stopping negative momentum and increase, and then ramping up into an increase with momentum in the right direction. Like, that's what I used to do with weight loss, because I would deal with a lot of people that are really in their head about stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, the first thing you're paying me for is I'm gonna help you stop the negative momentum, aka weight gain and going the wrong way with your health. And I had to have that conversation with them. I didn't want that to be the focus, but I'm like, if a boulder is rolling downhill in the wrong direction, the first thing we gotta do is stop the dang boulder. Like, I gotta help you push, and then we start going in the right direction after that. So maybe you have a 2-week quick consultation package where it's just a couple sessions with you, Voxer access for that. And that's more of like a 500-ish offer, that you could put out there. I'd even let you go like a 397, maybe. I don't know. I think anywhere in that 397 to 797-ish zone is gonna be really nice for a 2-week consult, couple meetups with you, Google Doc for notes, Voxer access the whole time. And really, it's all about stopping the negative momentum. And then you have your next offer as, okay, now we need to push forward. Like, here's how we stop the bleeding. Here's how we stop all the negative, get you out of your own head, basically. Okay. And that could be an initial offer that you're doing and graduating people into whatever else you want. And that takes no online course filming. That takes Zoom meetups, we all have Zoom, Google Doc for making notes and sharing notes with your client, Voxer access free. Good to go. Just you got to have something to bill them with, PayPal or whatever. That may be something to try. But then you're getting a decent amount of income up front first. You're able to collect testimonials. You're helping people get real tangible results. Like, really, I would challenge you to think, like, what does that negative momentum stopping look like? Like, what kind of process? What would you challenge them to do? Like in the weight loss space, I'd always be like, all right, let's look at the main habits that are crushing your momentum right now. A lot of them are like nighttime snacking, negative self-talk, and unsupportive spouse. So I'll be like, we're going to have a plan. We're not going to fix all those, but we're going to have a plan to handle all those better over the next 2 weeks. And so that's what we do in our coaching calls and the Google Doc. I give them homework. All right, come back the next time, message me on Voxer or whatever, and you can get to work. So is that helpful with that would be like the first thing that I would do, and you can get up and running with that pretty quick. Is that helpful?
It is. It takes some of the pressure off as well too. For like I said, the grief is just really heavy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I feel it. I mean, I mean, honestly, that was one of the reasons I got out of the health and weight loss space. Cause I mean, I did that for well over a decade, and it kind of drains you a little bit. Like you let that many people plug into you and absorb your momentum until they build up their own, you eventually get a little bit drained. So yeah, I mean, but I
mhm,
think if you just be like, this is only phase one. Phase one, stop the boulder from rolling downhill. Then we start
mhm,
pushing in the right direction in phase two. So
mhm.
that way you kind of you paint that picture of, you know, the good stuff's right around the corner. We just got to put in this work first, and then away we go. And that'll give you hope too, or it's like, all right, we're not going to be in the total negativity zone the
Mhm.
whole time. And if you can solve that problem for them, I think you'll be able to ramp up this price point pretty quickly, because people will be coming to you like, oh wow, this works so well. You get all those testimonials going. You start putting audio testimonials in your podcast and your website and Instagram, and just like showing, hey, I'm an expert in helping this specific person do this specific thing. And yeah, I think your people will respond. Cool.
Yeah. Do you have time for one more
Let's
question?
do it.
Okay. So I wanted to incorporate something else. I also am a runner and I'm getting ready to do the 4x4x48. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's every 4 hours, 4 miles for 48 hours.
Yes, I have heard of
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So, and I've been trying to document it some on like Facebook Lives, and thought that we're doing this in October. And I had thought that maybe I could do some type of a 5-day workshop leading into it and somehow connect it with this
Yeah.
coaching. And you have
Yeah.
any ideas on that?
100%. 100%. So like, I mean, it doesn't have to be to that, but I love the idea of doing like a 5-day audio series podcast that is attached to something that they need to give you their email for, to build your email list. So basically it's like, what is the thing that they're giving their email for? Is that a companion workbook? A lot of times that works well. So maybe you've got the overarching topic, you're going to break that down into 5 days worth of content, and there's a companion workbook that you create that helps them do homework from each of the 5
Mhm.
days, and then they're ready to go for the next phase of whatever. So I mean,
Okay.
like if you did something on doing hard things, building resilience, things like that, and you're like, day one, let's talk about ice baths. Day two, let's talk about having difficult conversations. Day three, or what,
Okay.
whatever, and then just give them homework to do. And that's something that's just similar. So obviously, like the ice bath thing, like if you wanted to go with that, I wouldn't suggest like go and do the whole thing, but maybe it's like take a cold shower. You stand under cold water in a shower for like 10 seconds or something like that,
Yeah.
and just overpower your human physiology and do something that kind of sucks, or
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
So just give them little homework steps to build momentum into, and then maybe you're doing a 14-day running challenge, or whatever you want. You could launch into whatever you want off of that, because it's all about momentum, hope, resilience, and then maybe it's a course, maybe it's a free thing. I don't know, but I like that idea. And you have that content dripping out, and yeah, and the workbook would be evergreen, so that's a nice tool to use. You can use that as a regular lead magnet. um, like if maybe there's something that pops up, uh, like I could see that being like a pop-up on your homepage where it's like, hey, have you done my 5-day resilience challenge yet, for Christian stay-at-home moms, or whatever? And
Mhm.
then start with this podcast episode, and then download the companion workbook here, have a little landing page, bing bing, they're connected up, and you can use that as an evergreen email list builder. And
Okay.
if you want to do a bigger challenge or a paid offer on the back edge of that, you can do that too. And that way it kind of serves both purposes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I also thought about bringing in people for like interviewing experts, trying to say, hey, I'm training. Let's talk to somebody about nutrition. Let's talk to somebody about, I don't know, the sleep or,
Yeah.
other kind of health things.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's good. Now, the only thing is, if you're going to try to sell something off the back edge of that, I wouldn't do that. If it's more of
Okay.
an email list builder, I think that's great, because then you're going to get
Okay.
other people promoting something that kind of fills your email list. So,
Okay.
yeah. And both are good reasons to do it. So, yeah. All right, cool. Well, Christina, I think we got a lot to work on here. I gave you plenty of homework, so good and bad, lots of homework. I want to make sure that people know where to connect with you, website, social media, all that good stuff.
Okay. So I am actually on Facebook at Abundantly Rooted Life, and Instagram at Christina Reisinger _Ruark. And my website is down right now, but I have a link tree, which is also Abundantly Rooted Life.
Outstanding. So everybody listening, check out Christina. Hold her accountable. Look for all her awesome new content or new challenge and stuff like that. Grab her workbook when she puts it out, and we can, podcasters should be out there supporting other podcasters. So check her out. Listen to her show. Leave a glowing 5-star rating and review. All right, Pod Pals. If you want to come on the show for a podcast audit just like Christina, heading over to the website www.podcastingbusiness.school. I'd love to have you on the show. All right, Pod Pals, I'm going to send you out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We will see you next time.